Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the August edition of the Transfer Tuesday with ACC Live. I'm Renee Esparza, Director of Transfer Resources here at ACC, and I'm so excited to be back and to be joined by a special guest, one of our very own ACC transfer students, Antonio Rodriguez. It's such a pleasure to have you here to talk about your transfer.
Thank you, Renee. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for having me here, and thanks to all the viewers that will log in today.
I'm so excited to meet you. This is the first time we've met, and I love hearing about transfer student stories, what your experience was here at ACC and through the transfer process. So, before we get into all the details about the actual transfer, why don't you let our viewers know a little bit about yourself?
Of course, yes. So I was born and raised here in Austin, Texas. Yeah, graduated from high school at Travis High School. Decided to go to attend ACC. Registered for classes, took some classes, and by the time I knew it, I had already graduated from Austin Community College. Transferred to Texas State. And yeah, currently I barely graduated back in May. Currently working for a loan company doing consumer loans. So yeah, it's been great. My college experience was great. Going starting at ACC and transferring to Texas State.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for letting us know a little bit about yourself before I start asking you the hard questions. So, what I think a lot of students really want to hear about is the actual transfer process. So, can you tell us what the transfer process was like for you?
Of course, yeah. For me, it was pretty straightforward. I was already used to applying for financial aid every year, and so already used to applying for registering for classes. So when it was time to transfer to Texas State, I was already, I had already applied back in high school at Texas State. So whenever it was time to transfer, it was a pretty easy process for me. And yeah, it was a great experience transferring from Austin Community College to Texas State because it was just such an easy process for me. And probably without ACC, I probably would have never gone to Texas State that quick in my goals.
So, I'm going to ask you a follow up question to that. You mentioned you had applied to Texas State in high school, but then you came to ACC. Was there any reason you decided to start at ACC?
So yeah, I mean, when I graduated from high school, I wasn't really planning to go straight to college. I was either gonna take a semester break or see how it went. But out of nowhere, I was already registered at ACC. I already had financial aid. All I had to pretty much do is register for classes. And out of nowhere, I just started looking at brainstorming about my future, and then I was like, you know what, let me give college a try. So I registered for classes, and my first semester went okay, and then from there, just it was awesome. Every semester was awesome, and graduated from ACC.
So it just took that one step of let me take a chance and try this out, and look at you now, right? Graduate of Texas State. That's an awesome story. When you were attending ACC, how did you know it was the right time to transfer?
Well, yeah, I mean, I had already graduated from ACC, and then I was in the Asender program. So it's the sign for that for you to graduate at Austin Community College, and go to a university, 4 year university. So, I was like, let me give it a try. Transfer to Texas State, and I mean, Asender was a big part, helped me a lot to get to that position.
Yeah, I'll add to that a little bit. The Asender program that's available at ACC works in like a cohort model. So they work with students together. You take classes together, right? With other Asender students. So
Yes.
you make friends, you have study partners, you have people to keep you accountable. And the goal of that program is really to help students be successful at ACC and then transfer on successfully. So I'm really glad you are a excellent product of the Ascender program.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you.
And so you started talking a little bit about one of the resources that ACC helped you achieve your transfer goals, which was Asender. Um, how else do you feel like ACC helped you achieve those goals?
So yeah, I mean ACC, it's really flexible. You know, the campuses are smaller. So yeah, I was kind of frightened to go to a big university. So you know, that's kind of a reason why I also wanted to start at ACC, smaller classes. Yeah, at ACC I was able to use the resources. I would use the library a lot, tutoring when I needed to. You know, prepare for exams and things like that. And you know, after a while I learned how to study, how to prepare for tests, and it's all because of the resources that Austin Community College provides for the students.
That's awesome. We offer so many free resources, and I'm really glad that you took advantage of some of those. One of my favorites is the free tutoring. I think that's awesome. And not enough students take advantage of it. So, you mentioned you had applied to Texas State right out of high school. You came to ACC. Um, what made you then decide that Texas State was going to be your transfer destination?
Yeah, I mean, with the Asender program, they took us to Texas State to check it out, and I liked it. I had already thought about going there before. You know, it's 30 minutes away from Austin. You know, so I was like, I think that's the best fit for me, and yeah, it was the best fit for me because I was able to graduate from Texas State, and yeah, become become successful, reach my goals one by one.
It's awesome. And so you were a major in their business school, which is a very highly rated business school. I know I've heard from students that it's that business is a hard major. The transition is challenging. But do you feel like your time at ACC really prepared you for your classes and just being a student at Texas State?
Yeah, I think it did. That's why I think I was motivated to transfer to Texas State. I had already taken some business classes at ACC. I did actually really good, and it was time to transfer. And then you do have to apply to the McCoy School of Business, and with Austin Community College, there's less requirements. So I got accepted, and it just felt great. I could continue studying business, and yeah, the classes at Texas State, they were great. Great classes there, great classes, business classes at ACC, and yeah, there I learned a lot. Especially after graduating ACC, I feel like I needed to learn more as well. You know, so that's kind of what made up my decision as well to go to Texas State.
That's awesome. One of the things students always are afraid of is, will the classes be so much harder for me? But what I'm hearing you say is that you are academically prepared to not be like thrown off by how difficult the classes were at Texas State. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's a fair statement, and I forgot to mention as well. I mean, you're taking classes here at ACC, but some of the professors come from like Texas State, UT, so you kind of already know how it's kind of gonna be. So yeah, it gets you even more prepared because you're already pretty much just like if you were already taking a class at Texas State or UT.
Yeah, our professors, our full-time faculty, our adjunct professors are awesome. And many of them do teach at other institutions. So I don't like it when I hear students say, oh, it's just, ACC is easier. It's still the same high quality, highly challenging work. Um, so we likely have some students watching this who are excited to hear from someone who has gone through this journey. What advice would you give those students who are looking to transfer?
Of course, yeah. So as a first generation Hispanic student, pretty much to anyone that is thinking about it, either they're currently at ACC or will be attending ACC soon. Soon, just take advantage of all the resources at Austin Community College. It's a great place to start, and just make up goals for yourself and deadlines and just put the effort in, and you'll reach those goals. By the time you know it, time goes by fast. By the time you know it, you already graduated ACC, you already graduated Texas State, and you're working the job that you were thinking of doing for your future.
I think that's great advice. I'm going to throw you a curveball here. I hosted a panel recently this week, and I asked some students, what was your best memory of attending ACC?
So yeah, my best memory is just the culture. I really like the culture at ACC. You feel like you do belong there. So that's kind of something that I really liked about ACC, because I was kind of frightened to go to college in the first place, but with the culture that ACC provides, it just made it worth it.
I'm glad you liked it and remember us and come back to share your story with our students. I'm going to take a minute to see if there are any questions in the comments. If anybody has questions for me or Antonio, please add them. But while we wait, I also wanted to ask you, what was your favorite thing about Texas State?
Well, Texas State, my favorite thing, just the campus. Even though it's I was used to a small campus, just going to a bigger campus, meeting new people, and I do want to bring out how important it is to network. So that's kind of one of the things too. At Texas State, I was able to network a lot, and it opens up a lot of doors as well. Just the networking, and at ACC you can network a lot as well. At ACC, I was able to get a part-time job with the marketing department, so that's kind of what helped me prepare a lot. I had all the support from all the staff from the marketing department, from my family, from my friends, and uh, met more friends at Texas State. And yeah, without them, probably wouldn't have been as motivated as I was to graduate Texas State.
I, from my personal experience, we've had work studies that have worked in our department or hourlies who are working on transfer. And I will tell you, we are so excited to watch their journey, your journey, and we're here to support you. So, students, if you are thinking of attending ACC, you should definitely look in to work study. And I believe ACC Live is doing financial aid Fridays, so maybe they'll talk about it at the next one. Um, Antonio, I know we're kind of running short on time, but I wanted to see if there was anything else that you wanted to add.
Of course, of course. Something I learned uh, in my experience with college. Every day is a new day to learn new things, and every day is a day closer to your goals.
That's amazing, wonderful advice. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank
Um, so, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really nice to meet you. I remember when we were talking before, you said you might also start mentoring ACC students. Is that correct?
Yes, correct. So I got invited to mentor for the Asender program, which I was in. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for that.
I think that is great for you to come back and help our students with this journey. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And again, Antonio, thank you for being here and talking with me today. And don't forget, once a river bat
Always a river bat.
is a river bat. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And we hope to see you next month at our next Transfer Tuesday as part of ACC Live.